All right, so the question is, what is the crypto fear and greed index? Well, in short, it's a sentiment indicator. Now, for a long time, especially if you've been into stocks, there have long been various sentiment indicators, charts, and all kinds of things, and surveys and stuff like that people will use to help them make better trading decisions, because sentiment, how people feel, is very important. It affects it affects economic activity, and it also affects trading activity as well. So it's super important to know how people feel, because human activity will have, at the end of the day, a net result on and create other things that happen after. So that's what it is. It's just yet another sentiment indicator, but probably the favorite one for crypto. To be honest, no one has really bothered making any others. If you go to like CoinMarketCap or CoinGecko, and you'll see this index, and it just looks like a kind of speedometer, right, that you'd see in a car, and it goes from 0 to 100, and 50 is the midpoint. And yeah, it's a bit sensational that it's called the Fear and Greed Index, but basically 0 to 50 is fear, and 50 to 100 is greed. So I wouldn't really call it fear and greed. Well, to be honest, it's not a bad name for it. You could just call it bearish and bullish, right? It's basically, you could call it pessimistic, optimistic, but it just so happens, I don't know who called it this originally, but it just so happens that it's called the Fear and Greed Index. And yeah, it's a sentiment indicator, and it's been around for a few years, and it has like often split into 5 different sections. So I don't remember them, but I think it kind of goes like this. Like the first 20 is extreme fear, the next 20 is just fear, the middle 20 I think is just I think it's called neutral or something like that, but it's basically neither fear nor greed. Then the next 20 is called greed, and then the last 20 is called extreme greed. And there are even charts of this, so you can historically see what it has tracked at. One thing that I know people say is you can't trade on this particular indicator because it'll do weird things sometimes, like the market may be tracking sideways, the price is not moving, but people may be fearful. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the price is going to go up or down depending on whether people are feeling fear or greed. So it's very difficult to trade on. People's sentiment changes and doesn't necessarily correlate with the price. It's kind of weird like that, but that's just human nature. So now, one of the funny things about this index is that, well, let me tell you first about how it's composed. So yeah, I say one of the funny things, it's called the Fear and Greed Index, but there's actually more than one. But a lot of people don't realize that. They just think it's just one index. So there are a few different companies that make their own Fear and Greed Index. So one of them is Alternative.me, which I think was the original one. I'm not sure. Then there are other ones like Binance Exchange also has their own. CoinMarketCap has their own as well, which a lot of people see obviously when they visit that site to get their prices and look at the top 100 cryptos. But I'll give you an example. They're all pretty much composed in a similar way. So the Alternative.me one is different components. A quarter of it is based on measures of volatility. Another quarter is based on momentum and volume, and then 15% of it is based on social media sentiment that they measure from like Twitter and Reddit, and then another 15% is actually surveys from weekly polls, and then finally 10% is coming from the Bitcoin dominance calculation, and then another 10% is coming from Google Trends, what people are typing in Google. And so all that wrapped up makes up their Fear and Greed Index. So it's It's not objective at all. It's completely subjective. I mean, I like the components, but who is to say, the weights that have been chosen, 25, 25, 15, 15, 10, 10, who's to say, that's completely subjective, right? Who's to say that's even the right way to go? I mean, what is the right way to go? I don't think there is a right way. It's just a completely made up indicator. You can make your own. It just happens that this one is popular. You can definitely make your own if you wanted to. And yeah, people don't really trade on this, but it's just a nice ready reckoner to kind of check. I think a lot of people use it in this way. They feel a certain way, and they look at the fear and greed index to see, are other people feeling the same way as me? So for me, it's just a nice way to check, am I overreacting? Or am I even underreacting to something? Are other people feeling the way I am? Or am I not feeling it when I should be, right? Am I neutral when actually I should be in extreme fear or have extreme greed? So that's all it is. As I say, do not use it as a singular basis on which to trade or invest. That is, people have tried in the past and have said that you can't be profitable. It's not a great indicator for making trading decisions. Maybe it wouldn't surprise me if it were possible to make your own and have it be perhaps profitable. But even though it's got those 6 different components in the example that I gave you, there's a lot more information that you need to make trading decisions. So yeah, I think it's impossible to be profitable with this. It would be pure luck and coincidence to be profitable, even with your own fear and greed index that you've tweaked the weights, etc. I just don't think it's possible. So that's the fear and greed index. Don't take it too seriously. It's just a bit of fun, really, and not much more than that. So I hope you found this interesting. Please, if you did, give it a like if you enjoyed this discussion, and feel free to leave a comment, and also subscribe if you haven't already. I'd really appreciate that. Take care and see you soon. Bye.